seeking a weaker labor market, I think you said. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Do you think the labor market now is back to quote unquote normal, and that we can achieve the inflation target without wage gains coming back down to what they were pre-pandemic? Even with today's ECI levels, they were still above those pre-pandemic levels.
I think the labor market by many measures is at or nearing normal, but not totally back to normal. And you pointed to one or more of them. So I think, job openings are not quite back to where they were.
All right, so if you're just joining us, we're tuning in to the Fed labor market and listen to Fed Chairman Jerome Powell as he discussed the decisions made by the Fed for their first meeting of 2024. Basically, everybody's been waiting. Hey, look, when is the Fed going to start dropping those interest rates? Well, he kind of tempered that back some with saying that they needed more data. They needed to look at the market a little bit further to see when would be a good time for the Fed to start reducing rates. As of right now, they're holding steady. They're keeping rates at about 5.25 for that top rate that the Fed has issued. But as of right now, we didn't get, or we're not getting any indication. And most of the reporters in the room is asking him, hey, look, what more do you need to see in order to see that what you're doing is working? And we kind of need to let up off of it a little bit. They're looking at a couple of different industries. We just heard a little bit about housing. And of course, I put out another piece of content. The Fed increasing or decreasing rates doesn't necessarily have anything to do with mortgage rates, but it is the leading rate. So as they decrease or increase, that tends to trickle down or trickle up and has an effect, especially on the housing market. And one of the things that we're seeing in the housing market right now, inflation is really holding down the housing market. As you can see, with most home prices being at the highest they've been in 40 or 50 years, interest rates being at the highest level that we've seen in quite some time. And then also inventory for all of the factors above is keeping inventory very, very low. Last year, we only sold right below 4 million homes, which is just crazy considering that we weren't at a level that low since 2008. So that just lets you know kind of where we are in the housing market. And for all indications, all reports that have came out so far, it's saying that the housing market of 2023 was the worst year that we've had in at least over 1 decade. So we're paying attention to that, and we're kind of seeing where 2004 will be. There are some bright spots in the housing market going into 2004, though. Let's tune back in here a little bit more and kind of catch up with what he's saying now.
For the pandemic and with 2% inflation.
Chris.
Hi, Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. Thank you. I wanted to follow up on Rich's question. It sounded like you suggested that you're not worried about faster growth so much. So wanted to see if you're seeing anything that suggests that inflation could reaccelerate from here. And it sounds like you're saying you're not worried that solid growth from here on out poses any risk to inflation. Thank you.
No, I think that is a risk, the risk that inflation would reaccelerate. I think the greater risk is that it would stabilize at a level meaningfully above 2%. That's to me more likely. Of course, if inflation were to surprise